Like many utilities that are well thought out, the Mask Feather tool is also useful for design work. In this comp, we've got some text, a background, and a blue solid with a rounded rectangle mask applied. It's important to note that this tool only works with masks. It won't work with shape layers, unfortunately. I should also point out that the rest of the mask tools in the set here are the same as they've always been. However, there's a letter G only next to the main pen tool and the feather tool. This is so you can quickly toggle between these two tools, and since you can get to all of the other tools by adding modifier keys to the pen tool, I think this is a nice solution. But if you don't like this behavior, you can put it back the way it used to be in the general preferences. Okay, so we saw earlier that you can click on a path and drag out to feather outside the path, but you can also drag inside the shape to feather into the mask. And a single shape can have both outside and inside feathers. But once you release the tool, an outside feather is now permanently outside, and an inside feather stays inside. The feather interpolates smoothly between the outside feather boundary and the inside, or if there's only one boundary, it interpolates between that and the original mask. Notice I did say smoothly. The interpolation between the boundaries is roughly Gaussian, so that it eases in from opaque and eases out to transparent. If for some reason you need a feather to be linear, you can choose that up here in the Layer menu, under Masks, and under Feather Falloff. There you see linear falloff, and here we are back at smooth. You can set multiple points, as we've already seen. So After Effects smoothly interpolates from point to point, using an auto Bezier smoothness by default. You can adjust this by right-clicking on the point and choosing Edit Tension, or you can simply Option Drag on the Mac or Alt Drag on Windows to adjust the tension interactively. Also in the context menu, notice that you can adjust the radius, which is what After Effects calls this line here. If you need to set the distance mathematically, that's where you do it. Once a point is selected, you can nudge it, but nudging works a little different here than it does elsewhere in After Effects. Nudging to the right moves clockwise around a shape, and nudging to the left moves counterclockwise. This can be a little confusing at the bottom of a shape. Here I'm using my right arrow, but moving left, so pay attention where you are. Similarly, the up arrow increases the distance of an outer feather and decreases the distance of an inner feather. And once again, this can be surprising when your points are at the bottom of a shape. Takes a little getting used to, but you should pick it up fairly quickly. Shift Nudge moves more quickly. Select multiple points to move them all at once, by mouse, or by nudging. Now there was another menu item in the context menu called Hold. This is very useful. It holds the distance of the currently selected point until it reaches the next point, and then you get a sudden drop to that point's level. This can be used for some interesting stylish effects like stairs, for example, or anywhere you need a sharp edge. Okay, let's turn off this layer's visibility and look at our text layer. We need to first convert this text to masks by right-clicking and choosing Create Masks from Text. Now what I want to do is use the Variable Feather tool to add some blur just on the left side of these letters to add the idea of motion. I could try to drag points out and fiddle them into place, and think about how to cleverly use hold keyframes to accomplish this effect, but After Effects gives us a shortcut to manage this automatically. Simply hold the Shift key down and click Drag on a line, and you'll see that only that segment is feathered, allowing us to generate a really nice design effect. We'll use that on the last 4 letters here, and the S is a little more complicated, so we'll just have to use what we've learned so far to make the S look right. And the last thing we'll do is add a transform effect to our layer to skew it a little bit. And there we go. We have a nice Art Deco design that would have been tricky to pull off in any Adobe application prior to Adobe After Effects CS6.